right, settle in, because I've got a story for you that belongs right here on Our Entitled People. My name's Dorothy, I'm 62, and I could probably outlift half the people in this story, a fact that will become painfully relevant in a moment. So cast your minds back to the start of the pandemic. The world's shutting down, and like everyone else, I decided my living room was about to become my new gym. I'm not new to this game. I've been a fitness nut since before most of you were born. I decided to treat myself and dropped a pretty penny on a high-tech, all-in-one weight machine from one of those trendy, newish fitness companies. You know the type, sleek, black, and with a price tag that makes your eyes water. For a glorious year, it was my best friend. Then, one Tuesday morning mid-press, it made a sound like a blender trying to chew on a brick, and the whole resistance mechanism just died. The fancy screen went blank. It was now just a very expensive, very heavy coat rack. I did what any normal person would do. I called customer service. And let me tell you, that was a workout in itself. After navigating a phone tree designed by a sadist and listening to 40 minutes of terrible synth pop on hold, I finally got a human. A very unhelpful human, who informed me that their policy didn't cover sending technicians out. To get my massive, 300-pound machine fixed, I had to bring the specific broken part into their retail hub. I tried to explain that I had no idea which part was broken, but it was like talking to a wall. Fine, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. I drove down to their big, shiny retail store. The place was packed. And when I say packed, I mean it was a sea of tank tops and testosterone. It looked like a casting call for a protein powder commercial. Every single person waiting in line was a guy, probably between 20 and 30 years old. I felt like I'd walked into the wrong movie. I shuffled up to the counter, trying to catch the eye of the kid working there. He couldn't have been more than 22, and his attention was surgically attached to his phone. "Excuse me," I said, my voice polite but firm. He didn't look up. "One sec." I waited. He finished a text, then started another. "Excuse me," I said again, a little louder this time. "I have a broken machine. Customer service sent me here. Do I need to take a number or—" He finally glanced up, gave me a quick, dismissive once-over, and grunted, "Just wait. Someone will call you." He gestured vaguely toward the line of gym bros and went right back to his phone. The message was clear. I wasn't the kind of customer he was used to. I wasn't part of the club. My blood pressure was already doing the cha-cha. After about 20 minutes of feeling completely invisible, a different guy, older and wearing a manager's polo shirt, came out of a back office. "Next," he called out, looking at a clipboard. He scanned the line of young guys, then his eyes landed on me, and a flicker of confusion crossed his face. He checked his clipboard again. "Dorothy." "That's me," I said, relieved. Finally, some progress. He led me into a small, sterile office. "Have a seat," he said, gesturing to a chair opposite his desk. "I'm Mr. Peterson, the senior hiring manager." I blinked. "Hiring manager, I think there's been a mistake. I'm a customer. My machine is broken." He held up a hand, cutting me off with a patronizing little smile. Right. Let's just go through the motions. So, tell me about your experience with high-performance gym equipment." I was completely baffled, but I figured the quickest way through this was to play along until he realized his mistake. "Well," I began, "I've been a member of a gym for over 40 years. I'm certified in personal training, though I don't practice anymore. I probably know more about progressive overload and proper form than most of your clients. My current machine has a catastrophic failure in the digital resistance module, and—" He cut me off again. Okay, that's great." He scribbled something on his clipboard, though he didn't seem impressed. Then he leaned forward, lowering his voice as if he were about to share a secret. "And, Dorothy, how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?" That's when the penny dropped. The line of guys, the clipboard, the hiring manager title. They thought I was here for a job they were apparently only offering to young men. The frustration I'd been simmering in all day boiled over. First of all, I said, my voice dropping an octave, that's an illegal question. Second, I am not here for a job. I am a customer. My $1,000 machine is broken, and your company seems to be giving me the runaround. Mr. Peterson's face went from smug to panicked in record time. He started backpedaling so fast he could have won a gold medal. Oh my goodness, a misunderstanding. I am so sorry. With the crowd out there for the technician interviews, I just assumed. He trailed off, but I wasn't done. You assumed. What did you assume, Mr. Peterson? That a woman my age couldn't possibly be here about a high-tech piece of equipment unless she was applying to be the janitor. Let me guess, I don't fit the demographic you're looking for. The color drained from his face. No, of course not. We're trying to build a team that connects with our clientele. And frankly, this is a very physically demanding job. We have to think about your safety. That was it. The condescension was so thick I could have choked on it. My safety. I stood up, my voice dangerously calm. I want your boss's name and number, right now. The owner isn't reachable by phone, he stammered, wringing his hands. Then I'll take his email, I said, pulling out my phone. And you can be sure he'll be hearing about his company's discriminatory hiring practices and its abysmal customer service. He scribbled it down on a piece of paper like his life depended on it. I walked out of that office, head held high, right past the clueless kid at the counter and the line of hopefuls. I went home and wrote a very detailed, very pointed email to the owner. I laid it all out, the phone call from hell, the dismissive employee, and the jaw-droppingly offensive and illegal interview with Mr. Peterson. To my surprise, I got a reply in under an hour. It was from the owner himself. He was horrified. He apologized profusely and gave me his direct cell number, promising this would be handled. The next morning, the owner called me personally. He apologized again and told me that a senior technician would be at my house the next day, free of charge, with a brand new resistance module. Then he added the cherry on top. Mr. Peterson had been fired. The kid at the front desk was on his final written warning and was being sent for remedial customer service training. Justice, my friends, is a dish best served cold, and sometimes it comes with a fully repaired home gym.
Okay, real talk, if you're still here after 2 of these chaotic Reddit tales, you're probably one of us. Go ahead, hit subscribe. It's free chaos every episode. Now, let's dive into story number 3. Have you ever been accused of being a terrible employee at a job you didn't even have? No? Well, pull up a chair, because my attempt to buy a simple DVD turned into a hostage situation run by the world's most incompetent manager. It had been a long Thursday at my actual job, and all I wanted was to go home, kick off my shoes, and finally watch the box set I'd been eyeing for weeks. I figured I'd make a quick stop at a big box electronics store on the way. I was on a mission, picturing that glorious shrink-wrap sound when I saw them, an older gentleman and his son, staring at a wall of network cables like they were ancient hieroglyphs. Being a bit of a tech nerd, I couldn't help but overhear them. They needed a specific length and the store didn't have it. You know, I said, chiming in with a friendly smile, it's actually super easy and cheaper to just buy a roll and some connectors. You can make any length you want. I was about to explain how to crimp an RJ45 connector when a shadow fell over me. A guy with a clipboard, a red polo shirt stretched tight over his gut, and an aura of someone who takes his job way too seriously, was glaring at me. "In my office, now," he commanded, not even looking at the other customers. I was baffled. "I'm sorry, I think you have the wrong person." "Don't play dumb with me, Amber," he hissed, pointing a sausage-like finger toward a back room. "You're already an hour late, and now I find you telling customers not to buy our products. Let's go." The name threw me for a loop. "My name's not Amber," I said, starting to get annoyed, "and I don't work here." He scoffed, a truly magnificent, self-important sound. "Oh really, then what's that?" He pointed at my chest. I glanced down at my work ID, still clipped to my belt from when I'd clocked out. It was on one of those retractable elastic cords. "This is my ID for my job at a software company," I explained slowly as if to a child. "See, different logo, different name." He wasn't having it. It was like his brain had blue-screened. "All employees are required to wear their name tags. You're not leaving until we have a serious discussion about your attitude." This was getting ridiculous. I turned to leave, but he lunged forward and grabbed the elastic clip. I said, "You're not leaving," he snarled. Twang. The cord snapped, my precious DVD box set went flying from my hand, clattering to the floor with a sickening crack to the case. My keycard and ID tag whipped back and the metal edge of the clip sliced across the manager's pudgy hand. "Ow," he yelped, looking at the tiny bead of blood welling up. Then his eyes went wide and he pointed a trembling, now bloody finger at me. "You scratched me, you assaulted me." I just stared at him, then at my own hands. I bite my nails, I couldn't scratch a lottery ticket. "Are you out of your mind? Your little power trip just broke my DVD case and you cut yourself." "You're a liar and you're violent," he shouted, drawing attention from everyone in the aisle. That was it, I was done. "Give me my ID back, you lunatic." I pulled out my phone. "I'm calling the police." "Good," he shot back, pulling out his own. "I'm calling them too, to report a delinquent employee who assaulted me." A few minutes later, a very tired-looking police officer arrived. The manager, holding a paper towel to his grievous wound, launched into his story first, painting me as this rogue employee named Amber who was lazy, insubordinate, and now, apparently, a ninja. The officer turned to me with a raised eyebrow. "And your side of the story?" I calmly explained I was a customer, that my name wasn't Amber, and that this manager had accosted me, grabbed my personal property, and then injured himself in his own clumsy attempt to detain me. "So why do you have her ID?" the officer asked the manager, his voice flat. The manager stammered, his whole story deflating like a sad balloon. I took it so she couldn't flee the scene after she, discouraged a sale and assaulted me." The officer just stared at him. "So you admit to taking her property to keep her here against her will, sir? That's called unlawful detention." The manager's face went from blotchy red to ghost white. The officer wasn't done. He got on his radio. "Can you ask store security if they have an employee named Amber working tonight?" A crackle and then a voice came back. "Affirmative, she's been working cash register 5 for the past 2 hours." The look on the manager's face was priceless. It was a perfect cocktail of pure panic and the sudden, horrible realization that he was, in fact, a complete and utter moron. He looked like he'd swallowed a wasp. The officer turned back to me. "Ma'am, do you want to press charges for assault and unlawful detention?" I looked at my cracked DVD case, my stolen ID, and the memory of this buffoon's smug face. "You bet I do." So yeah, that's the story of how my love for physical media almost landed me in a holding cell. The store ended up comping my DVD set, and I got a call from their corporate office with a massive apology. Last I heard, Mr. Manager was demoted to customer. There are few things sacred in this world, and my Saturday afternoon nap is definitely one of them. Or at least it was, until Karen decided my front door was her personal drum kit. I was deep in REM, dreaming of quiet beaches, when a banging so aggressive it vibrated through the floorboards jolted me awake. I groaned, scrubbing at my eyes. Who the hell was so desperate they couldn't wait 5 minutes? I stumbled to the door, my brain still foggy, and swung it open to face the daylight. Standing there, already radiating righteous indignation, was my neighbor Karen. You know the type, the perpetual scowl, the yoga pants that scream, "I'm always active even when I'm just gossiping," and of course her jogging stroller, usually carrying a very confused-looking toddler. Today, however, it seemed to be a prop for her performance. "Do you know those kids?" she shrieked, practically vibrating with urgency, pointing a finger so sharp it could cut glass towards a group of kids playing, perfectly normally, mind you, in the park down the street. My brain was still catching up, but even in my groggy state the answer was clear. Nope, I mumbled, starting to pull the door shut. Not mine. But Karen wasn't having it. She actually planted her foot on my welcome mat, effectively blocking the door. Well, you live right here, you must know them, they're being so loud, and what about their safety? Someone needs to do something. Her voice was ratcheting up, practically a siren. She expected me in my stained nap shirt to somehow become the neighborhood's de facto child supervisor. I tried to be polite, I really did. Karen, they're not my kids, I don't know who they belong to. They look fine, just playing, and I'm really not responsible for. You're just going to slam the door in my face then, she interrupted, her eyes widening in theatrical offense. She recoiled dramatically as if I'd just tried to hit her with a rotten fish, even though the door had barely moved. Some neighbor you are. I'm concerned for these children, and you don't even care. Honestly, I couldn't help but let out a sigh that was probably loud enough for her to hear, followed by a very visible eye roll. This was absurd. Before she could launch into another tirade, I just gently but firmly nudged the door shut, leaving her to stew on my porch. My nap was officially ruined and I needed actual coffee. My own kids, thankfully, were not in the park with the loud ones. They were supposed to be at a friend's house, but I figured I'd still walk over to confirm and escape the drama. As I cut across my backyard, trying to enjoy the momentary peace, I heard it again, Karen's unmistakable, shrill voice. She's right there, the one who doesn't care about anyone's children. My shoulders slumped. She'd actually followed me. I tried to speed up, heading towards the park, but she caught up, power walking with that stroller like it was a weapon. You're just going to ignore me? The lack of concern in this neighborhood is appalling. Those children could be in danger. Karen, seriously, I tried again, my patience wearing thinner than old sheets. They're not my kids, I don't know them, I'm not responsible for them, please just leave me alone. That's when she really leaned in, her face contorted. You know what, if you're not going to take responsibility for the children in this neighborhood, maybe I need to call someone who will, like Child Protective Services, on you for negligence. My heart hammered in my chest. CPS on me? For kids that weren't even mine, that was a whole new level of crazy. This wasn't just annoying, it was genuinely threatening. I cut my losses immediately, turned on my heel and practically ran back to my house. There was no reasoning with this woman. As I locked my door, I saw a few other neighbors peeking out their windows, their expressions a mix of curiosity and knowing sympathy. Later that afternoon, the whispers reached me. Karen was indeed going around, telling anyone who'd listen that I was a neglectful, uncaring neighbor who endangered children. I sat on my porch, coffee finally in hand, and just stared at the street. Was this my life now, being harassed and slandered by a woman convinced I was responsible for every child within a 2-block radius? It felt like a surreal, exhausting nightmare. It was clear she saw herself as the self-appointed neighborhood watch, and anyone who didn't fall in line was an enemy. When I posted about it online, the solidarity was immediate and overwhelming. Everyone had their own Karen story, and we all had a good laugh, a slightly desperate, therapeutic laugh at the sheer absurdity of it all. It's a small victory, but it made me feel a little less alone in this bizarre suburban standoff. In the meantime, I guess I'll just be perfecting my door closing technique and making sure my blinds are drawn. Because honestly, who needs that kind of high-octane drama interrupting a perfectly good nap, right?
This next video hits the same vibe. Check it out.